Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of LanceScurv. It's 8:46 a.m. here in West Africa, and it's just such a beautiful visual as I soak in the early morning rays of the sun. I mean, you can say early, you can say, well, Lance, you're a little late today. And I think I am because I try to shoot for daybreak, or even if I wake up at my usual 3 or 4 a.m., I'm out here a lot early, but that's okay. It's a beautiful visual, again, in the mountains of West Africa, Ghana. Tranquil, peaceful, no chaos, no commute, no opposing spirits, no monitoring spirits that a nice high wall can't take care of, and everything is just lovely. And I know that at this time, there may not be as many people in, because right now, with it being 8:47, I know it's 4:47 a.m. over in the States, so I'm not expecting too many people, except the cargo hustler from East Texas. I welcome you on in. Now, it is extremely warm right now for this time of the morning, and I usually try to put a good amount of time in. But if for some reason my gadget here overheats and it cuts me off, then that will be the end of the show, and I will do more as the day goes by. I think I've been inside now for a full week without going down into the city or really mingling. And I have to say, this isolation righteously raises my vibration and causes my vision to go beyond those, what most people expect with their eyesight. You know, that discernment gets sharpened because you don't have to deal with the hustle and bustle of dealing with energies that are diametrically opposed to you, whether you know it or not. When you go out into the world, I always say this, I'm going to continue to say this, that your energy fields are tackled by other people, even if in passing, even if they're not aware that you're there. You have to look at it like a game. And this is not a game, this is a very serious thing. When you do go out and imagine a person's energy field, they vary in size. And I'm just saying this to get a visual on something that is not so visual. Imagine 1 foot away from your body, there's an energy field. But if you have only 1 foot away from your body, as far as an energy field, negative or positive, it's weak because it doesn't go out far. If you have an energy field that goes out 6 feet from your body, 10 feet from your body, 20 feet from your body, that means you are robust in who you are. Now, it doesn't always necessarily mean that your energy fields are positive. I'm not saying you or who's listening or whoever else, but we can have a blending of a confused energy field. We can have a hateful energy field. And energy fields, I believe, this is just my opinion, I'm not saying that what I say is fact, but they can change, and it could be a blending of different things. It could be an energy field of needing. You might need that hug that day, and your energy field screams that out. And if it's a righteous person, they're not going to walk up to you if you're a stranger, but they may give you a hug in the form of an ear to listen to what's on your mind. So we react with people on ways that, and this is my opinion, this is my perspective, we react with people in ways unknown. And as far as our successes are concerned, we beckon to the universe for success if we are rooted in that. Because there are people out here who claim that they want success, and then that's a whole other topic. What do you define success as? What do you call success? Is it the accrual of materialistic items around you that does nothing for your energy field, does nothing for your spiritual and your mental and even physical ascension? That you get up every single day and punch a clock and say, okay, one day I'm going to retire, I'm going to have all of these toys around me. But you can be just as dumb and just as backward and just as spiritually crippled as ever before. You see, It's not for every sperm to hit the egg. Most sperm don't hit the egg. It's only that one sperm that hits the egg, usually, right? So in this life, we've made it past the hardest part. We made it past the hardest part of having to beat out all of those billions of sperm to hit the egg, and you hit the egg symbolically. You're the sperm that went out. You won that race. So it's a damn shame that we get to this level and we get seduced by what they call a comfort zone. And we allow that comfort zone to keep us in a perpetual state of stagnation. Isn't that something? We've come so far to fall by the wayside that we don't have to race any other sperm. We're not sperm anymore, but we do have a head and we do have a direction. Like sperm do, they have a direction to swim up the canal. That's really a vicious place for the sperm. So not only is it a place that is against you swimming up to hit the egg, like gravity is to a basketball player who's trying to do a layup or a dunk, or hopefully his height helps him up. But if you're 5'2", it's quite hard to dunk that basketball. So now we get here and we're not racing against everyone else, although many of us have the mentality of a sperm where we're looking sideways to say, oh, I got to get to this goal faster. But then what you define as successes might not be what I define as success. What brings you joy, what brings you happiness, may not be what brings me joy and happiness. Because me personally, I'm beyond this level. My bags are packed. That's why I'm enjoying this life this much. What do I mean by that? Am I ready to transcend or transition? Not really, but I'm prepared. And I've been sharpening my sword, and I've been preparing myself because I've been through a lot in this world. And the crazy things that I've been through, the backstabbing that I've had to deal with, I'm done. So now bliss is here because I only do the things that I need to do to guarantee my ascension, and my bags are packed. But I am enjoying this life immensely, and I look forward to this life immensely. Now, let me talk about why I say my bags are packed, and I'll get into the topic, which I may not be as long because the sun is beaten down. And me personally, I want to be in the sun, but electronics don't usually deal too good in the sun because they will overheat and cut all your communication. Well, for anybody that's ever traveled, right, you get ready, right? You're traveling next week. You're traveling, let's say, Friday morning. And right now, it's Sunday evening. And you know you have Sunday evening, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at the latest. You don't start packing your bags 1 hour before your Uber is supposed to come and pick you up and take you to the airport, or that friend or the family member who's going to drop you off there. That would be asinine. So you pack your bags as early as you possibly can. The smart ones do. Those who are used to travel and traveling, they pack their bags early. Okay? The foolish ones will wait till late Thursday night to start looking for every detail item that they need to embark on their trip. Now, if their trip is going to be 2 weeks or a month, they're going to have to take more things. If it's just a short stint of a couple of days, they don't have to take as much. It's not as stressful. But when you're up all night and trying to figure out what you need, trying to figure out how much undergarments you need, trying to figure out what you're going to wear, what you're going to tool around in. If you have an event to go to, you want to bring something nice to wear at that event. It doesn't mean you're going to bring everything in your closet. Now, we have people who do that they're going away for a week somewhere and they're bringing 14 suitcases and bring the 14 suitcases back, never opening up 12 of them. That's not smart either. Now, why am I saying all this about packing your bags and why I say my bags are packed for the next level? Well, when you pack your bags on a Sunday night, like I made in the example, meaning earlier than the night before, that week is enjoyable. You know why? Because your bags are packed, your work is done. Now, all you have to do is wait for the time that it takes for you to go get up in the morning on Friday morning to get to the airport to do your travel. So this is where I am. I've learned, I'm not going to say enough lessons. I'm always seeking more lessons and more wisdom, but my bags are packed. I have enough in my bags, right? That I don't have to seek out the frustration of digging and figuring out and whatever. I've figured a lot of things out already. And anything as far as wisdom that comes to me now will come easy because I'm where I want to be. I've been through so much and I realize what I have to do, where I have to place myself, and how to make myself the most efficient version of LanceScurv that has ever existed because my bags are packed. I'm ready. So I'm not fearing this thing called death that many call death, but to me, it's ascension and transition. Look, if you take a 2-hour test, right, in the classroom, and it's some special exam, and of course they say we're going to give you 2 hours, and you might finish it in 45 minutes. But let's say for this example, you can't leave the room until the classroom where you're taking the test, or the hall or the school where you're taking the test, for 2 hours. You're locked in for 2 hours. And say you do finish the test in 45 minutes. Well, guess what? You have an hour and 15 minutes of, as far as other people are concerned, free time and nothing to do. But if you are a person who's motivated, you will find something to do. You will get a piece of paper, you handed in your test already. They may put you in a different part to stop you from being inquired about what the answer is if somebody whispers to you or throws you a note. But you have an hour and 15 minutes. What are you going to do at that time? You know, later on, you might have to do some shopping at the supermarket, or you may have to go home and wash your clothes, or you have to set up your week now to be most efficient for the projections that you have to accomplish for the week. Well, you jot those things down. There's never wasted time when you're motivated. And if you sit in your comfort zone, you'll get nothing done. Well, I'm just going to sit here for an hour and 15 minutes and just stare off into space and think random thoughts. That's a waste of time. And you do need downtime where you do nothing at all. You do need downtime in your life where you can really say that you're bored. You know what? Many years ago, growing up, I was always driven, and I was always taught by my parents to make the maximum use of my time, but we needed downtime. In the middle of the day, when I was much younger, there were times when my parents would say, okay, for the next hour, you're going to read. You're going to come and tell me what you read and how you understand it. They may even give me something that wasn't boring, but something that was interesting, but something that was beyond my mental scope to expand my mind. That way they knew I couldn't lie about it. Not that I would want to. And I love reading. So at the end of the hour, they would ask me and I would tell them. And they were just overjoyed that I would grasp not just reading something, but comprehending something. And this is what set me up as a person who never went to college, right? To be a person who loves to consume material and knowledge and information, as opposed to somebody who went just because of some parental obligation to say, I went to college, but they have no interest in reading. They have no interest in conversation that can enlighten them and expand them with other people who have had different experiences. This is my strong point. So although I don't have a degree on paper or mastered any one area of expertise that you can teach in college, I have a wide scope over and beyond what most people would think. If they look at a resume back in the past, okay, you have a high school education, they don't think much of you. But when you get on a job and you open your mouth and you start to speak about the varied interests that you have and indulgences that you have, and they say, wow, you got some interesting conversation. Where did you learn all this stuff from? Because I wasn't stuck in my comfort zone. Yet at the same time, you need time to literally, which seems like a contradiction, to literally be bored. Remy, how are you? I'm glad you're here. And what do I mean by that? That's the time that your vehicle rests, your body, your mind, your spirit. That's the time when it cleanses out. And it's a fact. And I once read there was some recent data, there was some recent information put out there that was well researched, that when you go to sleep, and I'm going to speak this in an abstract way, when you go to sleep, when you get good REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, that's the only time your brain has an opportunity to clear out the waste. Yeah, your brain creates waste. I'm not saying garbage like in a garbage can and say, hey, look at that. That's a package. That's a old bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken they're throwing out. Oh, that's a couple of old napkins. Look at that. They're throwing out a Dixie cup. Look over there. No, not like that. But the waste comes out as far as certain fluids. And if you don't get REM sleep, if you don't get to that rapid eye movement sleep that you're going to only get after about the 5-hour mark, because some of us will sleep for 4 hours. Well, guess what? You're never getting rapid eye movement sleep, and your brain never takes out that prior garbage, that prior fluid that it has to get rid of for you to work at an optimal level as far as your brain is concerned. That is a fact. That is a fact. If you go to the library and read an old book from 20 years ago, you're not going to get this information. But because I like to go and do things beyond what I am and what the world sees me, yes, I'm a Black man who was born in 1963 in New York City, and I was born in Manhattan. And at 5 years old, I moved out to Southside Queens. My parents moved out there. So if you look at that dynamic, you say, okay, he can't be much. Well, we already know. We already know what he is because we knew somebody else who's like that. No, I'm quite different. You see what I mean? No. So with the brain now, the brain opens up at that point of REM sleep. And that point of REM sleep should not be 11 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, if you work a night job, it might happen that way, but it won't be at its most efficient. You have to get to bed when the sun goes down. And I always broke that rule. And I never felt good because of it. And I didn't break the rule because I willingly broke the rule. I broke the rule because I had no choice, because most of the jobs that I would get on were jobs that were overnight. So I was used to that. And any side hustles or anything that I did on my own, as far as my own business, I always thrived overnight, or so I thought I did. But now that I'm away from the rat race, and now that I'm out here and obeying the dictates of the sun, I feel stronger. My thoughts are more powerful. When I write, it's easier. Not only that, you want to add to the fact I got rid of a whole lot of flotsam and jetsam out of my life that were just energy thieves and destiny robbers piggybacking on me. I feel so free now. And I feel great and isolated, so I can get into my REM sleep. I can obey the commands of nature. And like I said, I got up and I made this title, and I'm not reading from a script. I'm speaking from my heart because of all the things that I've absorbed as far as experiences are concerned. And this is why I just come here and share it. I'm not expecting anything. I don't sit here and demand anything from anybody. If you want to share or to donate or what, you know the usual thing. This is part of who I am. My cup is overflowing, so I have no problem filling up another person's cup. Maybe you know these things already, and it's just reinforcing. I hear things from people. I listen to speeches. I watch YouTube as a spectator, as a person who's absorbing content. But I make sure it's just not the ratchet, stupid stuff that they try to push on us to control our minds. So imagine your brain is like a big supermarket, like a big Walmart, like a big Target. And for those who are not in America or know what a Walmart is, it's a really huge, you can't even call it a supermarket. It's huge. Okay. And so you have the aisles that on each shelf, on each aisle, they have certain items in this little sign. And that's the universal way it is. It's the same way it is out here. And in Accra, we have a place called the Palace Mall, or Palace Market, I'm sorry. And we have several locations here. And that's the Walmart of Accra. Same thing. They sell everything there. I was quite surprised. Well, anyway, imagine in the daytime, all of the aisles are pushed together. Now, that wouldn't make sense in a normal setting, because how are people going to get to the items they want to buy? But this is how the brain is. This is the best way I can explain it. All the aisles are pushed together. But at nighttime, when it's time to rest after the sun goes down, those aisles open up, and there's spaces where you can walk down. But those aisles open up in your brain only to shoot out a certain type of fluid that is waste. And there are other fluids that flush it out. Like when you have a water hose and you're outside on your sidewalk and you cut the grass and your little dirt is on the sidewalk, you just take the water hose and aim it with a little hand contraption there and shoot off the water. You shoot off the little blades of grass that don't belong there. And that's what happens with your brain, right? So if you don't do that or get to that point, right, then you're going to accumulate toxicity in your brain and your brain won't work right. NFN Shaka, welcome, my brother. I look forward to more conversations with you. And this one is not going to be super long, but I always say that, right? But I don't want this to overheat out here. The sun is beating down and I'm sweating, and that's a good thing. But just think of how many people don't have a chance to get to REM sleep, to clear out their brain of the toxicities that are there. And we get trapped because we're limited in our thinking, because we're carrying around so much garbage in our brain. And just to add on a little more, they say, and this was from National Geographic, it was something I read maybe 2 years ago, right? And they go deep. And I suggest anybody get a subscription to it or go online and keep up with what's going on there, because it gives you a better understanding of the world that we're in. And it's not preaching any religious doctrine. It's not pushing anything. They just have interesting stories of things that we need to know in this world, right? And there are other periodicals that I read that have always had that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give a shout out to John and Judith Stonehill. They're no longer with us, but from the age of 6, they were a client of my father's. And yes, they were Caucasian, and they were wonderful people, and their hearts were pure. And I've known them most of my life from those single-digit ages. They were the ones who gifted me with a subscription to National Geographic for 5 years. And it was so instrumental in expanding my mind that I continued to read it on my own. They might have forgotten that they did that for me, but I mean, I'm not going to sit here and ask them for that, but my parents made sure that it continued on. And there were always National Geographic magazines on the coffee table, as well as Ebony and Jet and Sepia, eventually Black Enterprise and all that stuff. You know, I was well made aware of who I am in this world, how I'm viewed, and how I need to operate. Even if I veered off and went over the double yellow line for a little bit, at least I had some head start. And I pity those, and I feel bad for those who didn't have the head start. Maybe I could have had more of a head start. I don't know. But those were the conditions that I was born into. And I'm so thankful for that, because it put my symbolic sperm. I'm not a sperm anymore. I'm the sperm that went out, and you're the sperm that went out. But my symbolic sperm with the head that I have in the direction that I'm going to, just imagine most of us in our comfort zone, we're trying to get away from the I wouldn't say stress, but the challenge. See, champions don't get stressed. They get challenged. So, oh God, I got to take an aspirin. I got to take a Tylenol. I have to take a Advil because I'm so stressed and I'm getting this headache. You're getting a headache in anticipation of what you think is going to happen. That should make your juices flow. That should make you say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to overcome this because I'm a champion. This is going to be another notch on my belt of a win. And the experience of overcoming this is going to make me better. Like when I came out here to Accra, Ghana, I had experienced so much unexpected stuff from the people you think are in your circle, but it made me stronger. Now, I'm so in alignment with nature, in all things righteous, and I ain't perfect, right? But the bottom line is that I'm unstoppable, not because of me, but because of what's behind me and what I align myself with. And you will, as a human being, sometimes feel drained because that's how we're made. We have a limited amount of energy. We have to refuel ourselves with protein, carbohydrates, essential fats, water, minerals, vitamins, right? And trace minerals. And the natural substances of what we don't even understand exist because man hasn't discovered it. So that's why we have to eat things that are out of the ground, because there's things in there that we can't identify that we need. Look at the last 50 years, how the food pyramid has changed. Oh, the Food and Drug Administration suggested you put meat at the top of your food. You know what I mean? Now it's real low. Now it's optional. So we evolve. So we have to be open for change and evolution and ascension. So if we sit down in our comfort zone, we're going to be in a perpetual state of stagnation, which to me, on this level, we should be swimming toward the direction we need to be in, so we're ready when it's time for transition. There's no set of ovaries that said to all the sperm that tried to hit it, no, 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 no. I'm going to wait for that one sperm that's just sitting down there and it's not wiggling up fast enough. No, you can lose your destiny. Your destiny is not guaranteed. If it's God ordained, yes, it is, but you're going to go through a lot if you resist it. Isn't that something? When you have a destiny, if you embrace it, the way is clear. Doesn't mean the road won't have bumps. But when you reject what it is that you're put here to do and you sell out to just lowball it and be in a comfort zone, that's death because you're not fulfilling your purpose. What is your purpose? People walk around depressed because they got one foot on the gas symbolically and one foot on the brake. So the tires are spinning fast, but they ain't going nowhere. Ain't that something? So when you find your destiny, even if it's something that seems impossible, that other people tell you, you can't do this and you can't achieve this, you can't make this happen. If it's something in you that tells you and you connect with it and you know it's righteous, you know this is your destiny no matter where you are, you're supposed to shun that comfort zone and walk out from where you are. Sometimes physically, sometimes you have to leave the state, sometimes you have to leave the country. It's not always a physical movement or migration. It could be a spiritual migration to get away from certain things. Even if you don't move, you can still stay in the same house, but you have changed. And there are people, if you stay in that same house, will come and visit you. They moved away and they're still with their same funky ways. And if you were an alcoholic or a sex addict or a drug fiend, they come and they still doing the things that you used to do. And they ring that bell. Hey, man, how you doing? Man, we got to get together, man. I'm in town. We need to hang out, man, like we used to in the old days. And before they finish that sentence, they realize there's a different look in your eye, that you have ascended. They will still talk to encourage you to do the things that you used to do. But that soon loses steam when they see no excitement reciprocated back to them at the suggestion of indulging in the decadence that you used to indulge in. Why? Because you know your destiny and you're not in any comfort zone or any zone of escape, because really a comfort zone is a zone of escape. Now, I'm not saying if you have a nice mattress and you have a nice bed and it's so comfortable sleeping on that, never forget what it's like to sleep on a hard floor. As much of a nice mattress that Mrs. Scurv chooses, and every now and then we get rid of that one and get a new one or whatever. There's always a time I'm going to get down on the floor. Maybe once every 2 weeks, I don't know. I'm going to go down on the floor and clasp my hands by my head, and I'm going to sleep all night down there, even if it's not comfortable. Because I'm in control in how much comfort zone I indulge in, because the comfort zone will make you weak. You can have it because if you are also one who has the assignment on a higher level, when you can influence more people and you have a higher station in life, not that the lower stations means you're lower, because the man that in the movie theater who's a maintenance man who makes sure that every bathroom stall has toilet paper and every toilet bowl is clean is just as important as the person who owns it, or just as important as the person who plays the movie for everybody to see it on the projector, on the wall, on the screen. We all have our role and we must accept it. And if we don't accept the role that we have, if the world says that it's lower, then we'll never be gifted with something higher. Gladly embrace your role, your task at the time. Humble yourself, because in every task in this world, there's a higher lesson. The wisest men and the wisest women that I've ever met have had menial jobs or menial roles in this world. And I don't say menial like it's less. I'm saying that because that's how the world looks at it. Oh, you ain't nothing but a bus driver. Oh, you ain't nothing but a jail guard. Or you ain't nothing but a toilet scrubber. You're not successful. You don't have my Bentley and my big house. How could you say you're successful? But that same person that you said does a menial job is the very one that you come to out of desperation when you realize they have a little bit of wisdom under their belt. Isn't that something? It doesn't mean that you're stupid or an idiot if you have a job paying 6 figures or more, which now in America, having 6 figures is almost damn near mandatory or near it, the way the cost of living is going up. But I think these things all the time, and I have nothing but time to think, and I've always reserved a time and point in my day. My mind is like a picture-in-picture television screen. I'll just tell you that much. While I was on my job, whatever job I had, it never got 100% of my mind because it may not have required 100% of my mind. And I didn't reduce the capacity of my thinking just for the job. You know, the picture in picture where there's a little square of a screen from another channel that you can keep an eye on while you watch the one you want to see. I used to do that a whole lot back in the 80s. And I was so happy to have a picture in picture screen because channel 4, channel 2, and channel 7, right? They would always have their boxing matches around the same time. And there were some good matches too. And I'm like, how am I going to watch? You know, I'm going to have to switch between channels. How am I going to know? So if I'm watching a great fight, but there's another one going on, I flick to it when the commercial comes on. And I say, man, they're really getting down. I'll stay on that one, maximize that screen, and minimize the other screen. So I'll keep an eye on the action. So if it's just boring, you know, whole hum rounds that go by with no action. But if I see in a smaller screen that somebody got knocked out, I'm switching because I want to see what's going on. Now, we didn't have a 3-channel picture-in-picture screen, but it was only 2 that you can show. So sometimes I'll leave and have to go to another one, or I was smart. I had more than one TV. That's the original picture-in-picture where you have 2 TVs on. You might turn the volume down on one or the other. So I would do that. I had another TV on channel 7, and I had the one TV on channel 2 and channel 4. So I'm watching simultaneously 3 boxing matches. Why am I saying all of this? I'm saying all of this is that when I was on the job, when I mastered it, what needed to be done repetitiously, that would be relegated to the smaller screen. Because I didn't have to put that much brain energy toward it, right? It's just routine, do this, do that. But the bigger screen was what I was thinking about doing on a creative level, whether it was creative as far as artwork or writing, or creative as far as business, or creative as far as making my life more efficient. My life coach and sister, my dear sister, I won't say her name, but she keeps on me in a way that I love to make me better. And her every utterance from the area of expertise that she's in the world makes me better. No matter what she says, it makes me better, tightens up my game, makes it where I'm more efficient, where I have more time in the day, but yet I can get more done. And already out the bat, I got time in the day. I used to maximize my time when I was working 2 jobs, working 11 hours, driving a bus, and a little gig that me and Mrs. Scurv used to do, a little side job. In the wee hours, I still come home, but I was wearing myself down. I wasn't getting the REM sleep. My brain didn't have a chance to clean out. And going back to that for a quick second, they went deeper with that. They said you have to be in the bed by a certain time, not too long after the sun goes down, because not only your brain gets cleansed out and tuned up after 5 hours, there is a timeline for every organ in your body where, and I don't remember it, I just try to make sure to get my butt in bed by a certain time, which I've been sleeping longer. I kind of broke the rule by a couple of hours, but I'm far better than the times when I even lived down in the crowd. I had people calling me and I stay on the phone with them and they want to keep you up and they call you early in the morning, they texting you. You do a 6 or 7 hour live show and they talk about, oh, you gonna go live again real soon? No, I got things to do. Because those are the energy vampires. You can't allow that. You have to have a limit. Forget about a comfort zone. You'll never have a comfort zone that they'll take you the other way. I have a dear sister that says, man, you know, I'm glad you clean house with all these entities pulling on you because you were starting to look gray. You were tired all the time. You were looking gray. You weren't getting no sunlight. But when you have demonically driven witches that are trying to suck your energy and keep you from your destiny, what do you think you're going to look like? Now I'm free. Look at that. I'm looking up at the sun, looking over the mountain, and that world and that mentality and that way of going about things that I used to is so far away. And these energies will try remotely. I know that. But I repel them and I have ways of doing that, of keeping myself grounded and connected, and that's maintenance. But yes, there's a time in the evening after you sleep when the body takes care of the liver. And there's a time when it focuses on the spleen. And there's a time when it focuses on the kidneys. And there's a time when it focuses on the sex organs. I think that might be like around 5 o'clock in the morning, right before the sun comes up, if you know what I mean. But it's to say that there's a time for everything. And you must be replenished daily. Now, there are times when you get the phone call, maybe somebody passed away or got into an accident or has an emergency, and you have to stay up all night to deal with those things. Granted, I understand that. You're a man, you're a woman of integrity, you have to do the things you have to do. But this is what makes life so wonderful, the rhythm. And when you know how to ride the rhythm to maintain yourself and achieve and then know when to back off. Because last night I was feeling a little fatigued, and I only did the morning show like I did now, morning for me, because I will start doing morning shows for the East Coast after the 5-hour time change is over, or maybe a week after that, because I have some work here to do that will be a part of the final touches. You'll see, but it's coming. But the thing is that you always have to press forward, but you have to know when to back up too. And I said, you know what? I can do this particular show that I wanted to. It's all set up, and I'm going to do it in a little while. Maybe an hour, maybe 2, I don't know. But I'm going to do it, set it up, put it out. But that's for yesterday. And I'll do today's show. This is not even today's show. This is just the morning thing where I get up and ramble and talk about whatever topic is on my heart. And I like that because it takes care of those random snippets of ideas that I have in me that don't really make it to being broadcast or uploaded. So I get it all. You know what I mean? I get everything. It's like when your grandmother or your mother, if you had the experience of that, or your caretaker growing up, they're making a cake and the cake mix is in the bowl and they scraped it all out. And every time they try to scrape more and more out, you get mad because you want that cake mix, because you want to put your finger in that bowl and get it all because it's sweet. And sometimes if they're nice, they'll leave a little extra cake batter inside there. The chocolate cake batter, man, I used to love that. That bowl was clean. I got it all. And it was a beautiful thing. But yes, the comfort zone can be a place to regenerate, a place to replenish, but don't stay there too long. You need the resistance and challenge of the world to be able to grow. Going to the gym alone and sitting down and talking with everybody with all of your fancy gym gear on, you're not working out. You're not going to get the benefit. You can say you went to the gym. Oh, really? You go to that gym? People are impressed. But after a while, they say, wait a second, you're not looking like nothing because you've been there for 4 years and you're fatter than ever before. Look at how people go to church, right? Go to synagogue, go to mosque. I've never missed a day going to the house of worship in 36 years. But what the hell did you learn from that? You just physically showed up. It's a status symbol for you. Maybe that could be a replacement social club for you. Yes, I have not gone to a bar or a nightclub where they do all of those decadent things in 36 years, but you still going to a church where they're indulging in those things in the name of the Lord. Ain't that something? You see just as much tight skirts, and you steady watching every panty line that walks past you, and you make sure to sit way in the back so when it's time for the offering, you can check out every backside that walks up there. How do I know this? I was like that when I did go to church. I'm checking up the girls, the women. Even when I was 12 years old, I'm looking at these women in their 30s and 40s. I'm like, I can't wait till I get older. And some didn't allow me to even wait till then. I got some stories to tell you. So I know I speak from experience. I'm not talking about everybody, but I'm just saying my own experiences. So it's so good for me to be away from these toxic, confused energy fields for a time, because I still have to go and deal with people. But because I have the cleansing period so down, and I have a comfort zone that's not detrimental, not the comfort zone of sitting on a couch or the side of the bed all day long, and I'm glued to a phone. Yes, I am on the phone a lot because it is a tool for me to do what I do, right? But once I'm done, I'm done. I like the feeling of taking a walk on the mountainside. I have yet to do this, but as you see, over here is a different city, a different village. And the road from my village to go up to is to the right. Yeah, I can show it to you, but I'll leave the camera where it is. And I want to walk all the way around and walk over there. And I've been there in the car and looked over and seen the back of this house. It was amazing to me, right over there on the other mountain there. But there's a main road that you can't really see, but at nighttime you can see the cars going by. It's so beautiful from back here. Last night I almost fell asleep back here. Last night I took a shower, had my robe. No, I'm sorry, not my robe, but my towel around me. And I said, let me just go out there with the towel because nobody can see up here. It's private. And I sat down in the chair. The towel fell open, but nobody could see me. And I fell asleep on the balcony naked. And the breeze was hitting me from head to toe. Oh my God, what a feeling of freedom. I said, well, let me take myself on in here. And it was a little cool last night, so the mosquitoes weren't out jumping. And when it's a dry season, like from December to March, where there's not much rain, ain't no mosquitoes out here. And that's the most glorious time to come out here and fall asleep. So when I get that type of REM sleep, whether I sleep outside on a balcony, overlooking nature, breathing in the oxygen that the plants give me and whatever else, peace and quiet. You don't hear no gunshots. Oh, the people that hunt up here, and you will occasionally hear a gunshot or a machine gun. There's all kind of things crawling out here that people eat. But other than that, it's never really done in violence. No. So you hear it, you put your head back on the pillow and say, okay, you know, that it is what it is. But to align yourself with that, if you can't get that internally. Meditate on that internally. Take yourself away from your environment and the energy fields of your job, of that boss that may not like you, that's always giving you extra work and you do it excellently. He's always chastising you, saying it wasn't good enough because he really wants to fire you. Because you take him out of his comfort zone by doing all of this work and people recognize you. They start looking at him and saying, in administration, right, or human resources, like, well, he ain't doing that. We need to take him away from that supervisory position and put him in there. There's all kind of reasons why people have the energy fields that they have and they don't maintain it to keep it cleansed. Always ask yourself when you do something, what are your intentions? You see, as a young man who was dashing and in shape and looked a lot different than I do at this particular older age, I always stated my intentions to a young lady. And that's why people say, well, man, you always had success with women. Success in their mind was getting to a certain point physically. I never looked at that as success. But if I saw a beautiful woman across the hall or in the mall or something, you know, I'd come over and I'd be honest. I said, listen, I'm coming over here to talk to you because you look so nice. And I really would like to ask your name, you know, and you do have an outfit on that is very revealing and I can't pull my eyes off of you. And they meant to wear it like that. So why am I going to sit up and say, oh, you got some pretty eyes? No, I'm looking at your backside. That's what it was. But I said it in a classy way. And we talk later on, and I would show the other sides of me, not just the carnal side. They said, wow, he stated his impulses, but yet this guy's interested and he's talking about so many other things and he's not just focusing on that. Why don't you come over later on, baby? We can talk in person. They would always invite. Be upfront, be who you are. Be honest with yourself. What are your intentions in life? If you want to buy a luxury car, then admit it. Don't act spiritual to fleece the flock to get it. Say, I want this. But when you get that, you might find that it doesn't do anything for you on other levels of life. It's just a piece of tin sitting out there that takes you from A to B, that the same Toyota Corolla can do for you. That doesn't cost as much. But then again, these days, I looked at the price of a Toyota Corolla. I'm like, God, dog, you could have got a luxury car back in the 60s or 70s for the money they're asking, but we know inflation and how it works. Oh boy, I wish I can go back to those prices. I'd really feel like a millionaire now on the little retirement check that I get. But that's neither here nor there. Always challenge yourself. Always challenge yourself to come out of your comfort zone. And now if you're sick, physically ailing or spiritually ailing or grieving, you're not going to get up as enthusiastic when you're reminiscing over the person that has transcended and transitioned to the next level. We're human. We're going to miss them. So you have a couple weeks, a couple months of grieving and you don't feel like yourself because they're a part of you. But then again, when you go through that, I always feel that if they loved you on this level, love never dies. It just changes form. Energy doesn't die. It just changes form. Look at the example of water. We've all put water on the stove to boil, going out in the backyard to do something. Say, hey, I'm going to get this a couple minutes. By the time I come back in, It's going to boil. You got the radio playing outside, and it's one of your favorite songs, and it's the long version. You start popping to it like, man, the song goes off, and you remember, uh-oh, I forgot the boiling water that I was going to boil the pasta or boil the eggs on the stove. Let me go inside. I hope the pot ain't burning up. It ain't going to burn up. It's just going to turn all black. You get in there, and there's a little bit of water inside that pot, right? And you don't say, uh-oh, the water died. No, it changed forms. That's why your walls are wet and your ceiling is wet. The water is still there. It just changed form. So with us, as we transition, our energies go elsewhere to another dimension, and it's a system and it's an order, but you have to be right. You have to have your bags packed. You have to have learned from this level. Learn your lessons so you can become wiser, so you can ascend. Because if you're just materialistic and that's the only thing that you're caught up in, you're going to leave everything you have. I love the experience of being out here in a house that Mr. Scurv and I built. Nobody has ever lived in before. It's nice. I don't have a vehicle right now. I don't really care. The vehicle that I'm honing and training is my essence, my body, my mind, my spirit. You should be the new version of yourself every single year. I find it funny that so many people see, like they'll buy a car in 2024 and they'll see the same car in 2025. And like, oh man, I wish I had waited and got that one. But if you got the 2025 when the 2026 comes out, you're going to say the same thing. So it never ends. The new computer comes out. You're happy to get it. You tell all the friends who may or may not be into what you're into, because you got people who are so materialistic and, oh, I just bought this new, brand new, shiny new, so and so and so and so. And I'm like, what this fool? Just shut up, because I'm not even interested in that. I don't care about that. But you have to tolerate people sometime that you know, because they're not going to develop as fast, right? But when it's time for them to leave, they're worried about who's going to get what when they go. When you should be celebrating a successful life of garnering wisdom and learning, right? I mean, I don't understand it, but that's the way it is. Anyway, I'm going to soon wrap this down. I don't know if there's anything in my big head that I want to say. I know there's something else I want to say, but on the whole thing of the comfort zone, don't let it put you in a perpetual state of stagnation. We can get that lazy boy. We can get that big screen. We can have the luxurious apartment or home or whatever and cut off from life and know that, yes, we sometimes do. It is mandatory that we deal with people who have different energy fields out there. Why? Well, Scurv, you just said in the beginning to avoid them. Well, yeah, avoid them once you had your fill of the lessons that they bring to you. Once you learn those lessons of the kind of spirit they have and the kind of energy field that they have, you can digest it as far as learning from it. I don't mean digest it as far as making it a part of you. It's like Sugar Ray Leonard when he turned pro after he won the gold medal in the 1976 Olympics. I watched that too. I was 13 years old in 1976, right? 12 in the beginning, and after April, I was 13. So in the Summer Olympics, I was 13. But anyway, after he turned pro, he was such a magnificent fighter on so many different levels. But Angelo Dundee, the same trainer that was training Muhammad Ali from the beginning, coming up, made sure that he fought different styles. And this is how I compare that situation to my parents, because they exposed me to different lifestyles. They exposed me to different types of people. And when they would act up around me, or you'd see somebody get pissed and cuss somebody out, that was a learning lesson for me. And my parents would explain pretty much what that might have been. And it gave me a head start to being aware of the energy fields. They didn't call it that, but that's what I'm calling it, right? So Sugar Ray Leonard, Angelo Dundee would, let's just say, to make it simple for those who don't understand boxing, at the highest levels, most people have mastered all aspects of fighting. The punching, the defense, counter punching, angles, having a good chin, having good stamina. At the highest level, it's an art form. When you look at a barroom brawl in the hood, and you see two people fighting, and some lady, man, that's right. I don't know how you can like boxing because it's so violent. Look at them out. That's not boxing. They just swinging for the hills. Drunk, pissing in their pants, and angry. You know what I mean? Over something stupid. But Angelo Dundee made sure, the trainer of Sugar Ray Leonard, who also trained Muhammad Ali, made sure that in the beginning, as a professional, I'm going to make sure before we rise you to the top of your game to get a title shot, that you would have had a little bit from the buffet of every style in this table of boxing, right? We're going to make you fight a slugger. We're going to have you fight somebody who is slick like you, but they don't have the heavy hands. That way you can be used to somebody who has the same speed as you without taking the risk of getting knocked out. But you're not going to sit here and say, hit me on my chin, because no, you don't hit hard. You're still going to take their punches like the sledgehammers or avoid them. You want to fight a person who comes in who all they do is think of being defensive minded. They're not going to really put you to a challenge, but now you want to try to knock this person out. You want to try to break them down, because it's easy to survive in a fight when you're not looking to win. Sweet D, welcome, welcome. Yes, I'm glad you're here. Yeah, the times I do these particular balcony reflections shows is never really set. It was just when I wake up, wake up a little bit, answer the call to nature, throw something down, a little something, piece of fruit, and come out here. And now I'm getting more and more hungry. I've been on here for about 52 minutes. It's okay. I thought I was going to be on shorter because I was scared that this gadget was going to overheat because this sun is beating down. And I got some clothes to take off the line and some other things that we have to do. But I want to make sure to get this in. And I will, this will be, with all I have to do here today, I still want to make this a content day. Now, tomorrow I will be heading out. I don't know what time, but I will do a morning show like this. If I get up early, I may get up real early. You might not be able to see anything because it'll probably be dark, and I'll come out here and do it, which will make it easier for those who are on the East Coast, because it might be late for you, 11, 12 o'clock. But if I get up at 3 or 4, I'll do it, and I'll leave out before the sun comes out and take care of business. I have a lot of running around to do, but I will do some live stuff out there, and I'll be getting some walking footage is what I call it. So when I do a audio, I can put that up as something for you to look at as I walk through the city. It's interesting. I mean, banners are cool, but you're not seeing anything with the banner. Even though me walking around in Ghana in a crowd may not have anything to do with the topic that I'm speaking about, but it kind of captures your eye a little bit. So every aspect of my life, I try to make it where I can bring it home, bring home the groceries, bring home the footage that I can use that's unique. And I'm trying to make myself more and more efficient every single day. But yes, Sugar Ray Leonard and his trainer made sure that he had to deal with gradually better fighters who understood the game more and who were more well-rounded. But he didn't feed them to the top professionals right away. I'm quite sure Usain Bolt, the runner, right? The fastest man in the world at one time. Here are some of his records being broken. But they didn't say, get out on the track. And he's a toddler. You can't expect him. He has to go through the process of training. Yes, his gene pool, his DNA had a natural propensity, an advantage to run. Even if he never trained, he probably would be so fast anyway. But the techniques had to be taught to him. And so this is how we have to do in our life. But we have to still get involved and go out in the world and feel these different energy fields, negative and positive, so we can learn lessons from them, so that when we do get back home to our comfort zone, and sometimes your home is not a comfort zone. Sometimes you don't want to be home. I've known people who don't want to go home to their wife. They don't want to go home to their family. They might be into healthy eating and the family's drugging it and drinking it and dysfunctional stuff, trauma. But wherever your comfort zone is, when you get to it, make sure it's an advantage, that there's a balance, that you learn something from your indulgences in the outside world righteously, or your observances. Doesn't mean you have to actually physically, mentally, or spiritually touch somebody. You could be sitting in a restaurant and overhear a conflict of somebody speaking on their phone, and you say, I know how to deal with this person, or this is what I would do to how to deal with this person. Or you come up with a game plan, because when you have to deal with that type of person, you have to know from the hip and off the cuff how to handle them. So life is a training ground for the next level. Every level you're on prepares you for the next level. Don't worry about the next level. Just do what you have to do right on this level. And I do mean right, because we're born with this voice inside of us before it gets tainted by the world, before we are told that, oh, it's okay to do a little bit of this. Because, I'm going to say it this way. Satan, the negative energies, those who you call the devil, or whatever you call it, the negative energies try to pull you off the righteous course. They always tell you that something that you know is not right is right. And they start off with the little things. and it grows. So while Angelo Dundee trained his fighter, Sugar Ray Leonard, gradually with these different fighting styles to make him a more complete fighter, you know, when you pursue righteousness, it's a battle because there's this other whispering spirit in your ear to tell you that what you may see a glimpse of what the lower nature might want, that entity is there to convince you that it's okay. And this is why the United States of America and the entire world, the closer they are to being diametrically opposed to what's right, is the closer they are to doom and damnation. See, that's what it is. Every civilization that was great, so-called great in the past, right? They fell because they fell off the mark of righteousness. Not that it was perfect, but the checks and balances in that society to keep it a certain way was off, and they accepted anything. And so it wasn't cool to be righteous. It wasn't cool to have discipline. It wasn't cool to be restraining yourself from the lower levels, right? Because everything on the lower level has something on a higher level that has a time and place to do, that you can indulge in it. Look at a sweet piece of fruit, sweet watermelon, sweet mango. But the world will say, take this oily, calorie, sugar-saturated piece of cake, which you can make a piece of cake in a way where it is healthy. But we don't think that when we're presented with the alternative way of decadence. So we don't use our comfort zone for the good. Our comfort zone becomes hijacked, where all we could think about is something that's decadent. We plot and we plan on decadence. Yeah, I'm gonna go down to the club. I'm gonna meet that girl. Yeah, I know what I'm gonna do with her when I see her. Oh yeah, that family, they leave to go out on the weekend for 2 days. That back window, nobody can see it. I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna take their stuff. Just like everything righteous comes from a thought, all the unrighteous stuff is never something that drops in somebody's lap. They have the thought. If they plan on robbing a home, right? Home invasion, they have that in their heart. But the opportunity may come to them where they see a little old lady who's barely driving, drop a key by her front door. Oh, I can get inside there. And because you have that in your heart, it's an opportunity for you to execute what it is and project what it is. There's nobody that does something that they never think about doing it before. And that's what I want everybody to know. Keep your mind in the right place. Keep yourself in balance. Keep yourself balanced within yourself, and everything's going to go all right. I'm going to keep this just under the hour mark so I can broadcast this on different platforms. So I just want to say I love you all. Thank you all for being here. Take care. LanceScurv out. I'll see you in a little while. Peace.